Oh, I was gonna say we gotta wait for Tammy, but it's not.
Just make sure that-
Okay, yep. Can I call the meeting to order at 6:30 with the pledge of the flag?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Can I have everybody that is attending, if you haven't signed in, we need you to sign in. First on our agenda is approval of last, I guess, 2 months meeting of the planning commission. Can I have a,
I'll make a motion to accept the meeting minutes as presented.
Second.
discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried. Any correspondence, Tammy?
I have nothing.
Okay. Next is speed check, land development plan.
Good evening, Mike Sanford, 4721 Atlantic Avenue. And this plan was tabled a couple months ago, as you recall. You wanted the traffic study to be finalized and submitted, which has been done. I know that it was submitted to both PennDOT traffic unit and also the township. And PennDOT had, I believe, one comment, and the engineer responded. We're still awaiting PennDOT's approval, but it is under review. So since the prior meeting and this meeting, I did submit a new sheet 2 of our plan, and it does show that the deceleration lane along Edinburgh Road, it shows the turn lane along Edinburgh Road, and it shows that the driveway onto Hershey Road has one restricted movement. It would be no left in. So it would allow right in, right out, and also left out, but no left in. So we're here tonight to answer any of the questions you may have on the plan. And we did, since the last meeting, we did receive our NPDES approval from the Conservation District and our ENS approval. And we're still working our way through with the sewer authority on how the sewer will be extended to this development. We've outlaid 3 options with them, with Bill Steff, and he's reviewed all those drawings, and right now those drawings are out for bid by contractors, so the sewer authority can decide how they want to participate on this project. So here tonight to answer any questions.
Mike, just out of curiosity on the sewer issue, how long is that run, or the extension? How long will that be?
Oh, it's going to be about 1,000 feet,
Okay.
because we need to cross Edinburgh Road. Well, we want to cross Edinburgh Road and then extend on our side of the road. The sewer authority's preference is to stay on the west side of Edinburgh Road, come up to the intersection and cross diagonally, and then go on the south side of Hershey. So it's about 1,000-foot extension.
Okay.
On the eastbound traffic on Hershey, well, there probably needs to be signage.
Yes, please.
showing.
Yeah, PennDOT does require us to put signage with the no left turn signal, or
Yes.
signage. We have 2 of those. One would be on the concrete median island, and then also one on the south side of Hershey Road as well. But this driveway will have the physically raised concrete island to make it so people can turn in, or limit who breaks the law.
Roughly the dimensions of that island.
I'm just looking at the drawing there. Along Hershey Road, I would say it's probably 12 feet, and then lengthwise, it's probably 20 feet. So it's sizable.
Do you know how far it is from that driveway to the house or to Hammett Road?
I don't know.
First time.
If I had to estimate, I would say,
Because the house isn't that far from the back of that. That's what I'm just wondering.
which house, on the north side?
Yeah, the one Willow house that's still there.
Yes, well, I can tell you there's, the first house you come to is Julie Willow's sister, and then the next one I think was John's mother.
Yes.
But the first house is, there's probably about 150 feet that John and Julie Willow still own, and then it's the parcel that the sister-in-law lives on.
Trying to gauge roughly where this entrance is. You know where the existing fire hydrant is Where would the entrance be to that one fire hydrant that's right along?
That's right across from Vidler's house, right? The fire hydrant?
Yeah, I do not have the hydrant on my drawing. I don't, it's on the engineering drawings that the engineering department has, but I don't have that with me.
I'm just wondering how close it was, because I'm trying to guess. I was guessing that it was right about where that hydrant was, but
Yeah,
I just wanted it so I have a relative landmark to understand where everything goes.
right. Yeah, I don't really know. I guess if you look at the drawing, you can see the way the turn lane's there, and the way that tapers in, and it goes back to just a two-lane road. That's probably be the best way to look at it if you go by the site this evening.
Any thought given to, or I'm sure, people passing through from shortcutting that intersection, going through the gas island into that other exit on?
Yeah, I know that's always a concern of people doing that. I know it's illegal to do, but I know people do it. A couple of my clients have put signs, no through traffic, and that only does so
What about
much.
some kind of a speed bump or something that's going to deter?
Yeah, I'll ask Mr. Singh that question. I will do that.
I think it would be to his benefit to have some kind of a deterrent.
Yeah, I will promise you I'll ask.
He's probably got experience with that too, though. Doesn't he have that situation in other locations, I would imagine? I'm not.
This is pretty unique though, if you're cutting out that corner, if there's any backlog of traffic
Yeah.
on Hershey, people can see straight across there. Oh,
Yeah.
Even
I think it would,
definitely do.
I think it would be a safety.
And then I think it would be beneficial to the safety of the patrons that are walking from the gas pumps in to pay if they're paying
Oh, yeah.
inside.
Oh, yeah.
Having a speed bump
Right.
roughly adjacent to where those, or the canopy, or do a dual one right along the other side of the canopy.
Yes, okay.
Slow it down.
I jotted that down here, and I will absolutely talk to Mr. Singh about that.
Has foot traffic from the Copperleaf area been addressed at all, or thought of, or talked about?
No, not specifically in our application, no. We have a deferred sidewalk along our side of Edinburgh Road, so technically, if someone at Copperleaf wanted to come over here, they're not supposed to walk directly across the street. It's not an intersection. They're supposed to go up to the intersection, cross properly, and then come back down.
So then that makes that sidewalk more usable than if they're,
There is not a sidewalk on the west side currently to do what I just said. But yeah, and we, on our plan, we have the deferred sidewalk, and we're willing to put it in, whether that's immediately or whenever the township and PennDOT direct that. But we did ask for deferral just because it's not connected into anything right now.
to me, I think it makes sense to have it, just because of that exact scenario.
I think both of them should have to put them in, Copperleaf in.
Yeah, I mean, if you're gonna do one, you're gonna have to
Yeah.
require the other, be honest with you.
Plus you're gonna have to have some kind of crosswalk.
On Edinburgh, yeah.
I think so. Can you very much now?
Any other questions or comments from the board?
Well, I want to understand where exactly we're at with the, Mike, you mentioned earlier that you were waiting on something from environmental, or?
No, I mentioned we received approval
Yes.
by the Conservation District for the NPDES and ENS plans.
And then sewage is the other outstanding aspect.
The sewer authority is, we have our planning module approval, so we know it can be extended. We're just working with the sewer authority on which sewer extension option. There's 3 viable options, and it comes down to what, the sewer authority has this plan of taking the sewer other places that's way beyond this property, and Bill Steff has ideas of, I want it to get there, therefore I need the sewer this deep, and I want it to get there. So we've given them 3 options, and we're waiting for them to tell us which option they want us to do.
So is it safe to say that that's just a matter of picking an option?
Absolutely, yes. All 3 are viable, all 3 are perfectly engineered. They can be engineered. They're totally all legitimate options. It just is which the sewer authority wants to participate. What I mean by that is Lucky Singh could extend the sewer to serve himself and be totally happy. Bill Steff thinks that's short-sighted because he wants to take advantage of this project and say, well, what if we put the sewer a little deeper? What if we, and the sewer authority wants to contribute to that. And they say, listen, if we pay a little extra and the sewer can get a little deeper, then we can reach further in the township. So yeah, they're all perfectly viable options.
Okay, so it sounds like there's cooperation going on there and
Absolutely.
they're working through these problems.
Yep.
Okay.
And just knowing, I read the paper the other day that they have a liquor license
Yes.
also, so I would think that that would make a major attraction from across the road to go get a happy beverage, so.
Well, the new restaurant there's got a liquor license too. The new one that's going in.
Yeah, that's right.
The southern building.
Okay.
Yeah, that's going to be Falcone's or something like that. And it's pizza. and-
But irregardless, I think
Yeah.
there's gonna be some, I guess that's what we're talking about
Yeah.
here. That's what I'm talking
Yeah.
about here.
Sorry.
So have we discussed the traffic study? Do we want to take that on?
I think we should.
Okay.
As part of this.
One of the reasons
equation.
why we, if I may I go ahead?
Absolutely.
One of the reasons why we decided to table this last time is because of the traffic study. And based on my reading of it, the people who did the study basically said the impact of this development is negligible. There's a negligible impact on this traffic in that area. And they went down and they talked about the number of trips, the number of increased trips, the number of pass-by trips, and those types of things. And from what I gathered from it was that they said traffic's not going to be an issue to the point where it would, entangle that intersection, in problems. That's what I got from it. Now, I don't know what did you get from it, so we can.
I didn't understand a lot of it, but I think what you're saying is probably correct, that they're saying that, but I don't feel that's the truth. I don't think that's what's going to happen. Because there's already plenty of traffic in there.
Oh, yeah, there is, but, I mean, it's a pretty extensive study, and I'm confident in the result of the study. Now, is there going to be increased traffic? Yeah, there's going to be, at peak hours, there's going to be 92 extra trips in and out of that, at peak hours. But I don't think that if you sat in front of Sheetz like at Liberty and Peach or whatever, or down the road from, or 38 and Liberty or whatever, and watch the traffic in and out of there, you get a similar impact. I know it's not apples and apples, but it does increase the traffic flow. Somehow they were able to absorb it at that busy intersection already. I mean, 38 and that particular intersection right there, 38 and Liberty is very, very busy. So I don't know, I'm kind of comparing it to that just to kind of get an idea of what the impact would be. Now, this is kind of an oblique intersection too, so it's, I don't know how that contributes to it or not, but evidently the traffic study took that into account as well. So my reading of the traffic study is that it basically green-lighted the development based on traffic. That's the way I read it.
Correct, and there is some, we use the word mitigation. There is some mitigation required, this turn lane and the deceleration lane.
Right, they did make recommendations.
Correct.
Any other questions or comments?
Is there anything like that can be done when you guys are doing this, or does the state have to do it, but some kind of a traffic light at that turn onto 99, northern turn onto 99 off of Hershey Road?
Yeah,
Because there is a stop sign there, it's not a yield sign, no one stops at the stop sign.
in the little sweep lane thing, yeah. I guess what I'd say is the traffic study did look at those things, looks at, and basically said no changes to the signal is warranted. That's the word they use,
Do they
warranted.
have anything like a railroad gate?
Yeah, yeah.
Well, they don't stop.
No, they
I
don't.
brought that up to
No, they
the
don't,
district
and that's not the
engineer.
only
Been
intersection
discussing.
where they don't stop.
I know,
It's common.
I know.
To the district, well, PennDOT?
Yeah, I've talked to the PennDOT district engineer about those concerns. We are discussing some options there, but that's unrelated to this project.
Okay, all right,
I hate to sound like gloom and doom, but I'm worried about pedestrian traffic.
yeah.
Going over there for a six-pack, what kind of shape they're gonna be in, and what kind of dangerous traffic situation it might generate.
Without a crosswalk, especially, without a crosswalk, right? Is that what you're
Well,
concerned?
some safety feature
Yeah.
that can ensure that we're not gonna have a bad problem. And again, I still think it's gonna increase it, because I believe that his business model is to high volume. It's high volume, and it's gonna be a magnet for people.
From across the street especially.
Yeah, for the gas, for the alcohol. I mean, he's got the total package there. And
So, I mean, the lack of a crosswalk at that intersection bothers me too. I mean, that concerns me. And I don't know how do you address that per se, because is it a fault of the development, or is it a fault of the infrastructure?
Well, it's just.
You know, the development
Pass.
brings it to light, but is it the weakness in the infrastructure that is there inherently before the development even takes place? And, I mean, you can look at it, and you can see that there's no crosswalk.
So,
At Edinburgh and Hershey, there are crosswalks across Edinburgh Road.
Okay,
And-
where's
and-
that at?
it's right
It-
at
Yeah, I'm looking at the aerial imagery right now. It's, whenever they took this picture, it needs repainted, but it is there, so the curb
Right,
ramps are
okay.
there.
Are they
There's buttons.
successful? Are the buttons
there's
there?
nobody really walks there.
No. Well,
Not
that,
right now.
and that's
There's
gonna be the
nothing-
crux of the issue.
Nothing for them to go to.
We put in the sidewalks, they have to walk down to the intersection, cross at the intersection, and walk back.
Well, then is that something that's incumbent on, correct me if I'm wrong, but Copperleaf's sidewalks were deferred,
They
Yeah.
were,
and they were deferred until when?
until the supervisors deem them necessary. You guys can make a recommendation based on this development. We recommend the sidewalks be constructed with this development as well as with the Copperleaf development. But that doesn't get you all the way to the intersection, because there's a property in between the crosswalk
Yes.
and the intersection. It gets you really close.
Well, we just put that part of our recommendations.
Yeah,
I don't know what more the board can do to.
We
You're
cannot construct a crosswalk across from one driveway to the other.
Right.
PennDOT would never let that fly.
right, so in other words, so if you're gonna put a crosswalk on the east side of Edinburgh Road, where's it gonna go to? If you can't construct a crosswalk across Edinburgh Road, you're actually, by putting that sidewalk in, you're inviting people to illegally cross Edinburgh Road to jump on that sidewalk to come down to the speed check, aren't you?
It's gonna happen.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, I know. So, and it basically boils down to, are they gonna get their feet dirty, or are they gonna walk on crosswalk?
Even if we had sidewalk all the way down Edinburgh Road, people are just gonna run across the sidewalk, or run across the road.
I think we can do due diligence and pass that. You can't get stupid, fix stupid.
Because I live in the borough of McCain. There's one crosswalk in the entire borough. But it's like the most dangerous place to cross the road. So I'm gonna look both ways and cross somewhere before I get to there. Because people go to that stop sign, you're in the crosswalk, they look the other way and just drive off. Because they pretend if they don't see you, you weren't there.
It's true, too.
But this is such a unique animal, I believe, with the angles of the streets.
Intersection, yeah.
Intersection, that it's something I'm having a hard time juggling it in my head.
And with more, I hate to say it, but with more congestion, people are gonna pay more attention, so the cars will potentially slow down a little bit, because there's gonna be people pulling in and out of those driveways and a lot more
Or
going
maybe
on.
speed up.
To me, the main conveyance into this business is going to be in a vehicle,
Yes.
to me. And although the crossing issue is important, because you're talking about human beings crossing traffic, I know, although it's important, it may not be overriding to the point where we would say that the existing crosswalk that's there at least supplies a method, a controlled method for crossing Edinburgh Road if you want to get from the west side of Edinburgh Road to the east side of Edinburgh Road. You know, basically it's checking a box. And I know there are problems with that. But I think we should recommend that the sidewalks that are deferred be put in,
I agree.
at least on Copperleaf. And then that property to the south of that, they're under no obligation to do sidewalks, is that correct?
At this point.
Yes and no. We could, the way the ordinance reads, we can give them notice that we would want them to put the sidewalk in, and then they have a certain amount of time to do so. So there is that option with the sidewalk ordinance. It's on the transportation plan that they need to go in. So there is a mechanism there. It's not a fast one.
Yeah, you know, it's not pretty, but I think that's almost what we're looking at. I mean, if
Let
you're
us make a
concerned.
recommendation to
Right,
the,
yeah,
you
yeah.
want to
It's
start?
not pretty, but it's.
We'd have to talk to our solicitor to discuss the mechanism, how to do that.
Right, right. But I think it might, now Chris, does it begin to address some of the issues you got? Because at least the sidewalk would help bring them down to the intersection where there is a controlled crosswalk.
And I don't think, it would show we're doing some diligence and we're not being negligent on our part to look at this in
Right.
the future.
Right.
And that, let's get out from underneath some of the culpability, you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
So that we'll give them an avenue to do this. And again, I think the ordinances that have been installed a little bit ago as far as putting the sidewalks in and permitting deferred placement until it's necessary. I think if you put this installation in, it's going to be necessary. And I think we ought to even make the adjoining private property comply to the area that needed to make the crosswalk
That would be my recommendation.
viable.
I know, it's not pretty, but
You got a
that's,
motion?
yeah, I would, well, we got to wrap this in one big, beautiful motion here. But,
Start it off.
but I would think that the motion would be, and there are so many sub-notes here, you know, Mike, you know, there's this yet to be done and that yet to be done, and Matt, I hope you would have.
Gotta start
record of-
someplace.
Yeah, we have to start someplace, so the motion would be to approve the plan as submitted with the outstanding items as noted and recorded by Matt and yourself, Mike, be tended to, and with the recommendation to the supervisors that sidewalk, deferred sidewalk in the Copperleaf area, Copperleaf property, and property to the south of that be completed to facilitate pedestrian crossing at the controlled intersection rather than at an uncontrolled point on Edinburgh Road. Is that?
Same thing on the sidewalk on this property.
Repeat that.
She wrote most of it down. I think they should be on both.
And if I could clarify, when you say outstanding items, did you mean the sewer authority?
Yeah, the sewer issue, you've got all your variances, you've got,
I think the only
Well, I
outstanding
think
issue
the
is,
only thing that can hold them back from approval at this point, because the sewer authority, they have the module, so they're
Ready to go.
good there. They're just the permitting part of it now, and that's not dependent on this. I think the only outstanding item they really have is the comments from PennDOT regarding the traffic
Right, and that was the recommendation that was made at the end of the traffic study? Is that what you're talking about, or?
Well, we need PennDOT's approval of the traffic study. We're just awaiting that.
Yeah.
So sidewalks on both sides of 99?
I think we're talking sidewalks on both sides of 99, even though I'm personally not a fan, but I'm personally not a fan of the sidewalk on the east of 99 simply because it's the sidewalk to nowhere. It's not going to a crosswalk, it's not going to a controlled crosswalk.
But how are they going to get to which way do they walk? So is it safe to come down?
I'm saying that they're gonna walk down here, is Copperleaf, and they're saying they'll walk down here and then cross here.
Yes, but then you got to get to the building, which is clear back over here. So how do you get to here? So you walk
They're gonna
down the
have to walk
sidewalk?
across- Well, they're gonna have to walk across the property, which could be just
Well,
as
that's
dangerous.
a proposed rain garden right here.
They would go to that driveway.
Okay, so if you would say,
that way.
okay, so you'd bring sidewalk up here so they could get back to the building here,
Sure.
is that?
Yes.
Okay. All right, you see that, Mike?
I didn't follow that
Yeah.
last part.
Both sides.
Yeah, it's
Both sides of
basically both
Edinburgh Road.
Both sides,
So they
yeah.
would,
But not up to the building. They could walk up the
They
driveway.
could be in
they
the
could walk
side,
up to the
Okay.
driveway.
the parking, yeah.
And if they want to, I guess that would be a good thought too, is have some kind of a pedestrian, sidewalk from at least, because right now there's just 24-foot cart path.
Right.
So if they made it a little bit wider or have a area to green space and have a sidewalk parallel with that other,
So that needs to be added to the motion,
Yeah,
yeah,
okay, I second that.
okay.
you think that was it?
That's all I can think of. What else, what did
I
I
think
miss?
you covered it all there.
The speed bumps or something, you have that,
I
right?
have it jotted down,
That's a
yes.
recommendation.
To consider those, yes.
Yep. And signage on.
Yeah, he's already
Hershey Road.
mentioned that. The signage has to be there
Right.
before you open, right?
Yes. PennDOT will require that.
Okay.
Is there a target date for opening?
He hasn't shared with me an exact date, but he wants,
Now.
he wants to start earthwork because he has a lot of earthwork to do.
Sure.
And we have the approvals to do the earthwork. We don't have the land development approval, but he understands that. So he would like to actually start construction in a few months, yes.
Okay.
Any other discussion on this motion? Call for a vote.
Aye.
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 Who
Motion.
seconded that? I missed it.
Motion
did.
carried.
Oh, okay, sorry.
Motion carried.
Okay, thank
Tammy
you.
got it.
Good.
Thanks, Mike. Next on the agenda is the green space for the same property.
Yeah, and I'll be honest, I don't believe this is an alternate plan. I believe this is a compliant plan, and I know your board really only reviews and approves alternate plans. I'm happy to present this. Maybe the reason it's on the agenda, I mean, we present alternate plans all the time, don't get me wrong, but this we believe is a compliant plan, with the exception, we got a variance from zoning hearing board to reduce the internal plantings from what the ordinance requires. So I guess I'm happy to present the plan if you guys feel this is an alternate, or if it's a compliant plan, you don't necessarily need to take action.
I think my opinion, I think you need to add some on that Hershey Road side. We got neighborhood right there, and I'm sure they're gonna get blasted with lights and noise and something to screen
Yeah.
that business
What,
from across the street.
what are the plants that are going along the Hershey side? Do you know?
Yeah, we have it on our schedule here, it's at the,
It's not
The
very
sea
big.
green junipers and the deciduous trees.
right, we gave a mixture of 5 different deciduous tree choices that could go there. And the ordinance requires them along the entire perimeter to be spaced at, I can't remember if it's 30 or 40 feet, and then in between there we have to have shrubbery. So we have a combination of deciduous trees, 5 varieties called for, each 8 foot tall at time of planting. And then we have sea green junipers, 2 foot at the time of planting.
And how tall do they end up?
Junipers get probably about 4 foot tall.
So I think we're concerned about lights going into the neighbors' windows.
Right.
And
So-
from that area
Yeah.
by the electric,
Yeah,
Charging
because there's
Charging
2 houses
station,
that are
thank you.
pretty close to the road.
I guess if more could be added in there, to me, that makes,
Are we-
I kind of feel that arborvitae might be a
I
better,
was just gonna ask if
Yeah.
arborvitae is what we're talking about,
yeah,
something.
because arborvitae would fill
Grow a
in.
little tall.
Yeah, and get a little taller.
as
Yeah,
long as that's not gonna,
I mean, it's visibility.
yeah, visibility.
it shouldn't.
No, the
Doesn't
car
look
would
like
be
back
in
barn.
south of those. The car would be on the Hershey Road side of arborvitae. Are we talking just behind the EV stations? Or
Well, pretty much that whole side, because there's houses directly across the street from those.
Well,
So
from
And there's
the,
one actually real
from
close
the
to the
rain
road.
garden to the edge,
Try to block the headlights.
yeah,
I would think.
the rain garden.
We
to
go
the
from the
property.
rain garden to the driveway and from the driveway to the property line?
Yeah.
Yes.
Those two
Yeah.
chunks?
Yes.
And so I'm just asking, we would remove the chunks? We would
No.
remove what we
No.
show now and put
Yeah.
arborvitae?
Yes.
Okay. I don't have a problem with that.
And kind of like a hedgerow, you mean? Is that,
Yeah,
Well, I'm gonna talk to the owner and just, because arborvitae's can get 15 feet tall.
yeah,
right?
So is
depending
this,
on the variety,
correct, does he want to have, I understand what I'm hearing, block headlights.
Yeah.
So in order to do that, you really want something that's like 4 foot tall. I mean,
Yes.
4 to 6, something like that. So I just have to
Well,
talk to
3 feet
him,
more.
if there's a hedge, if there's a arborvitae, a dwarf arborvitae or something. I hear what you're saying. And
Sound and lights.
Yeah, so I'll amend the plan to do that. Can't say it'll be arborvitae until I speak to him, but
Yeah.
I'll tell you it'll be 4 to 6 foot tall.
yeah. I'm just saying arborvitae because they have foliage on them all year round.
Yes,
So if it's some other kind of shrub, they don't always have foliage. They might have sticks, a lot of sticks,
right,
but they don't have foliage.
okay.
And one evergreen.
Yes.
Well, then I think I'll tell him arborvitae's and
Yeah.
we'll see if we can get a dwarf variety
Yeah.
that doesn't get 15, 20 feet
Well,
tall.
they can get trimmed too.
Yeah.
They can come to my house and trim mine, mine ain't 20 feet.
Anything else on the green space? Call for a motion then?
I would approve the green space with the addition of the arborvitae's and replacing those from the rain garden to the property line.
Second.
Or otherwise approve it.
Okay.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Motion carried.
Thanks,
Thanks, Mike. Next on our agenda is Cap Plug amended land development plan.
Good evening, I'm Steve Kopak with David Laird Associates, 1557 West 26th Street. In front of you tonight is the Cap Lugs Land Development Plan. We're looking to put about an 82,000 square foot warehouse addition on their existing facility. We were here last month, met with the zoning hearing board and received 2 variances for additional parking out front and lost my train of thought.
And the use.
And the use, yeah, the use for
Sorry,
putting it
I
in.
was having a brain fart there.
Yeah, no, what was the other for? And to put it in an area, and it's now not zoned for the use that's already existing, so we had to obtain a variance to get the use for that facility to be installed. The submitted water management, ENS, planting plan, NPDS permit, all that's been submitted to the various authorities. Matt has reviewed the stormwater plan and provided some comments. We've resubmitted with some of those comments being addressed. He provided a couple other email comments the other day and we're taking care of those. Any comments you have tonight, I'll address those as well and submit one last package of information, hopefully to get that taken care of. We're still waiting on the NPDS permit. The sewer authority, we've emailed and been back and forth with the sewer authority. It's going to be an internal connection and it's a warehouse and they don't expect to bring too many more people online to run the warehouse. They currently warehouse off-site, so the people that load the trucks and send the trucks off to 18th Street are going to stay here and basically load the warehouse. So they don't anticipate a bunch more sewage flows, so it'll just be an internal connection, a couple bathrooms, and we won't be seeking any exemption or sewer module for that. Here to answer any other questions you might have on the project.
So the trucks that now are backed up to the building along 99,
Yes.
Those are gonna go back here to this loading dock?
Though, that loading dock will stay active. There's a loading dock in the back currently by the silos.
Receiving, right?
Yeah, so in the back, right by those like 6 little circles you can see on the drawing, it will, they'll now be turned and be those 4 that you see right there. So they'll come in and go around the building, that's why there's a drive around the building, and then back into the new loading area right there.
And they're gonna go out Zip Road, or they're gonna go out?
They're gonna go back, they put this drive in to go out either direction, but they'll have the option of going out the way they came or back out on. So currently they go down Edinburgh Road, make that bend and come in the back off of Zook Road. So it should eliminate that for the most part, going around that hard turn at Edinburgh Road and Zook Road.
Is that going to be a difficult turn? Right now, you're 90 degrees off of, I guess, your back road. It just not as fluent.
For
90-degree turn off of there,
It's gonna be more skewed.
just,
Yeah, they'll come out, they'll leave, they're at a different angle now. They leave at 90 degrees from what they left before. So they'll pull forward, and if they want to go out to Zook Road, they'll just make a left-hand turn out that and then back out the road. We've modeled it with a simulation, a truck turning simulator, and they can go either direction.
okay.
Any idea on how much volume is gonna be decreased on the 99 docks when these other 4 docks are created?
Those 99 docks don't function for the same use as this warehouse part will, so I don't think there'll be any change in the amount of trucks in and out of the 99 docks. Those will still operate as they operate. This is solely for the warehouse part.
Well, for right now, they have to move the product off of those docks out.
Yeah, they have docks in the back too.
Oh, yeah, there are 2, I noticed there are 2 facing Zook Road at the present time. And those handle the warehousing situation?
The ones in the rear do. The ones in the front are their day-to-day. They're not going to increase or change that anymore. It would just be the ones out of the rear that they would have typically, I think their storage warehouse now is on 18th Street. They rent space and they truck it out of there down to there and then bring some of it back when they need it. So this is to remove that process out of their operation essentially.
Well, I was just hoping it would cut down some of that
I mean,
traffic, yeah, but
he hasn't said that to me. That has not, we haven't discussed any change in that use out front. This is entirely racking and storage for caps and plugs.
okay, thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Call for a motion. Ron, you gotta have something to say.
Yeah, no, I was
He's
just,
working
I just,
something up over here.
yeah, I was just working through the truck traffic in and out, you know.
Sure.
One of the big concerns, I think Chris brought this up, and, you know, it's just the congestion that might occur on that road. I mean, it's a growth corridor, you know, that whole area is a growth corridor, and we just kind of try to keep an eye on what's going on in the future as things become busier and busier and busier. We, as a result of the last comprehensive plan, we invited that by identifying it as a growth corridor, and I just want to make sure that we don't end up like, I was going to say Cranberry Township, but I won't. But, you know, you get the idea. I don't want to go too far to the point where we just lose all concern for congestion. That was my only concern. So I would approve the plan as, well, I'd make a motion to approve the plan as proposed. I don't think were there any outstanding comments? No.
No, they're still working on the stormwater, but just minor things.
Okay. That would be my motion.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried, thank you. Next is our our green space.
We presented with an alternate green space plan, planting some lower growing holly, I believe it is, along Edinburgh Road. And then a couple of locust trees in the island. The grade kind of falls off from the road down into the parking lot too, so it'll also help deflect any parking lighting. Primarily just gonna like leave everything to the south as it is. It's pretty grown up to the south. You'll see there's some wetlands there. We're gonna get a GP permit to cross the wetland, but primarily avoid any impacts to the wetland.
And you're leaving the wooded area.
Yeah, that's all untouched over there. It's outside of our limited disturbance. We don't plan on even heading over that way.
Should that be noted on the plan somewhere?
They
I don't see it
have
on here.
another environmentally sensitive plan that they have that shows all of that.
Okay.
And this, the way the mixed-use neighborhood is, they're required to have, I can't remember the percentages, it's like 25% vegetative cover throughout, so much percentage around. And they have a map showing all of that.
They have a small one here if you'd like to see it.
I just want to make sure it was known.
Yep, it's on.
Yeah, a
We
lot of,
provided that to Matt.
yeah, basically, and all the new plantings are just in this general area right here, and everything else is going to be existing to remain. So we have the low-growing plantings along 99, and then the 2 trees here. And if you recall, this is where the sewer, I think there's a sewer easement that runs through here, so kind of limited what we can plant there.
There's also a lift station in that,
There's like all kinds of utilities probably through there.
right off the corner of the proposed parking lot. You can kind of see where the parking stops. That's where the lift station is.
It's right here.
Yep.
Yeah.
Call for motion then on the green space?
I make a motion to approve the plan as presented.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next is E.J. Chernecky's subdivision plan.
Hello again. Yeah, E.J. Chernecky owns this property on Flower Road, and he would like to subdivide basically one tax lot into 3, so creating 2 new lots, and the 2 smaller lots in the front. So Matt Jonas had a couple of review comments, and we addressed those by adding the drainage easements that are required. And I did provide Matt an additional drawing and justification for why the lot lines are not perpendicular or radial. It has to do with the driveway that's existing that goes back to the residue and crosses over the little creek there. So that driveway set the north line of Lot 2, and just for simplicity, I made the south line of Lot 1 parallel to that. So just here today, we are working with the sewer authority to extend the public sewer. It'll be a low pressure sewer, but these lots would be public sewer. Then they would
So
each
it's gotta be pressurized?
get a grinder pump. Each home would have a grinder.
You can't get to that lift station across the road?
No, it's up gradient. So we need to pump uphill to let it drain back to.
Gotta love it.
Yeah. So,
That's kind of a bummer, but
yeah.
any other questions?
It's 3 units, right?
3 lots, right.
Pretty simple.
I'll make a motion to approve as presented.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Thanks, Mike.
Thank you. Can I ask you, I know we already voted on it, but could I ask you a question about the speed check green space? I hear you about blocking headlights, and I was sitting there thinking, what are the grades, and is our site down a little lower? So I don't mind just doing arborvitae, I'm not gonna argue. Or if we did a little mound with evergreen plantings on top, did we accomplish the 4 to 6 feet total? Or is it, no, I want arborvitae, I'm just asking, is there any?
I don't, I
Choice.
mean, that's kind of
I think the
realistic.
means and the method's up to you and the developer.
Right, I do too, because they're gonna have to cut the grass. You know, because sometimes introducing a mound makes it more time consuming to cut grass.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah,
So, and you know, you're going like this down the, you know.
right.
But if you have to waste.
But I guess the question is,
Topsoil on the
does
site,
it
that's a good place to
bother
do it.
everybody that he's going to raise the net height with a mound and a shorter plant compared to just a taller plant on a level ground? That's what the question is.
And I think Steve Kopeck said it well, the K-plugs, their site's out a little lower than the road, so the headlights, so I just can't think right now if my site's a little lower than the road or not. It's not higher, is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And so if we're a foot or so lower, if we did a 2-foot mound and 2-foot plants, we'd get that 4 to 6 foot.
I think the noise and the lights are,
Okay,
Yeah.
at least in my opinion,
Okay.
is the
Well,
reason.
yeah, if you have a mound that bounces sound up, which is a way to fix sound, and one of the ways that you can fix sound, if it's a high enough mound.
right. So I just want to give them some options.
Yeah.
So, okay, thank you.
Yep, thank you.
Thanks, see you later.
Take care, Mike, we'll see you.
Next on our agenda, I threw it away, is comprehensive plan implementation updates. Is that you, Matt?
Yeah, I don't really have a whole lot. A quick update on Downs Drive, it went out for bid, Lindy got the contract. It was around 276,000 plus or minus. Our grant's worth 250,000, so it leaves us with 21,000. I think it's- My math might be off, but we have about 21,000 that we have to chip in. So they're looking to do the paving end of June, so that'll be done. Our guys have already done a drainage project over there. Last week, you probably saw all the congestion over there for that. We're gonna go in probably after they're done paving to remove the excess asphalt. And then it'll be wider boulevards and 2-lane road with dedicated left turn lanes.
Well,
So-
that'd be nice.
And so it'd be nice, a little more green space over there.
Mhm.
So I think that's all I have really cooking at the moment.
Just a question, when do we start the next comprehensive plan process? Yeah, because I remember we went out for requests for bids. That was well before 2018, if I'm not mistaken.
So, yeah, we did it in 2018. They recommend to make some amendments if possible within 10 years. You don't have to do a full-fledged,
You have to ask, he's got a question for you.
Have you always been a masochist?
Yeah, I know. But the last one was really a lot of fun, though, you know? It was, there was a lot of,
I guess to define fun.
I know. I
Okay,
just
fine, you're
wondered-
okay, you're okay, you're all right.
I was just wondering, I was just thinking, 2018, wow, that was a long time ago. And we are, I just want to bring it up, okay, there it is, we can forget about
Okay,
it now
good.
for another year or so, but
Other businesses?
I just thought I'd bring it up, that's all.
Other business?
I have
Nothing.
nothing.
How about public comment?
You got anything to say out there?
You're good, okay. Then I need a motion for adjournment.
I move we adjourn.
I'll second.
Discussion?
Aye.
Aye.
Wait,
Okay, good.
do
Thank
you have
you.
anything to sign?